Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we start uncovering all that we can about Newgrange, I would like to start with saying a few things. I've decided to change the channel name to fit more with these historic videos. And the new channel name, as you can see, is History with Kaylee. Now I'd like to look at a frequently asked question about the Stone Age and answer it before we talk about Newgrange. How long did the Stone Age last? Well, the Stone Age is divided into three periods. The first period is known as the Paleolithic era, also known as the Old Stone Age. It started around 2.5 million BC in Africa and ended around 11,700 BC after the last glacial period ended. The second period is called the Mesolithic era. It's also known as the Middle Stone Age. It started around 11,700 BC and ended around 8,000 BC. The third period is called the Neolithic era, also known as the New Stone Age, which started around 8,000 BC and ended around 2,000 BC. So to answer the question, the Stone Age lasted for over 2.5 million years and only ending around 4,000 years ago. In this series, the focus is on the Neolithic era, also known as the New Stone Age, as most of the structures that we see today are built in this time period. For the upcoming videos, we will also be staying on the British Isles, because of the fact that there are so many structures on these islands alone. Personally, I feel like they all deserve to be spoken about. Today's video location of Newgrange is in the Bruna Boyne, along the bend of the River Boyne in County Meath, Ireland. The area of the Bruna Boyne has been a centre for human settlement for over 6,000 years. Bruna Boyne has been a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1993. There are 154 monuments located in the Bruna Boyne area. But the area is dominated by the three great passage tombs of Knowth, Dowth and Newgrange being the most famous of those three. This site has been an important ritual, social and economic center for thousands of years. Because of the bend in that part of the River Boyne, which virtually encircles all of the key archaeological sites, has given this location such a high importance in ancient times. The river has been used in a variety of different ways, including religious worship, ritual deposition of artifacts, possible deposition of human remains, travel, transport of goods, fishing, and more. Newgrange is an exceptionally large passage tomb built around 3,400 BC. Thus making it almost 500 years older than the oldest known parts of Stonehenge and making it 900 years older than the pyramids of Giza. Newgrange is one of the oldest known existing buildings in the entire world. Newgrange consists of around 200,000 tons of rock. The mound is 76 meters across and 11 meters in height, and covers 4,500 square meters of ground. Surrounding the mound is a huge circle of widely spaced standing stones. This is the first encountered feature as one walks up the hill towards the monument. Only 12 standing stones remain of a possible original 38 standing stones. None of these circle stones are decorated. The circle is about 105 meters in diameter and encloses an area of around 2 acres. At the foot of the mound, there were 97 massive curbstones set in place by the builders. These curbstones are like the foundation of this whole structure. Many of these stones are carved with intricate patterns. The entrance to the mound is on the southeast, and using 450 slabs of stone of different sizes, they built the passage. The passage is 19 meters long and about 1 meter wide. At the end of the passage, there's a central chamber. On the left, the right, and across from the central chamber are 3 smaller side chambers. This makes the inside of the mound look like a cross. The central chamber has a 6-meter high corbelled roof. and the builders placed 4 large chiseled basin stones in each of the 3 side chambers. 1 in the west chamber, a broken one in the north chamber, and 2 in the east chamber. In the east chamber, one stands inside the other, the upper being particularly well shaped and is made out of granite. The other 3 basin stones are made of sandstone and slate. The east chamber is the largest of the 3, and its roof was extravagantly decorated with spirals. The first antiquarian to visit and describe the mound was Edward Llwyd back in 1699. If I butchered that name, my sincere apologies. He was very lucky to pass by the entrance after it was recently discovered. In the next 200 years, this site had many visitors. Among them were treasure hunters and vandals, as can be seen by the graffiti they left behind, as they carved names and such in the stones. In 1882, the Board of Works took over management of the monument. They placed a gate to block access to the entrance in 1890, which did help limit the damage done inside. Professor Michael J. O'Kelly excavated and restored Newgrange in 1962 in the 4 summer months each year until 1975. He was a respected teacher, writer, and archaeologist. He was Professor of Archaeology at the University College Cork from 1946 until his unfortunate early death in 1982. O'Kelly's first job was to remove trees and bushes from the mound, so they could make a series of detailed profiles, plans, and drawings. They found out that the mound had a flat platform of 32 meters in diameter. The next job was to straighten and stabilize the passage. A lot of the orthostats were leaning inward, making it hard for visitors to enter the mound. Because of the passage stones leaning inward, the engravings had been rubbed and touched and therefore eroded by visitors. O'Kelly and his team began by making cuttings into the body of the mound. They found out that the cairn had been carefully built by layers of turf, boulders, clay, and snail shells. As the archaeologists dug trenches on each side of the passage, exposing the structural stones, they found out that the roof of the passage follows the contours of the hill like a flight of steps. The roof box structure was completely dismantled and the passage was uncovered, allowing the restorers to straighten the orthostats in their sockets. But as they were clearing the stones of the passage roof, they discovered that the builders of Newgrange had carved grooves to act as water channels and carry moisture away from the interior. The passage and chamber were cloaked within a structure of mass concrete as part of the conservation process. The roof box was then reassembled over the entrance, at a somewhat higher position than they had found it before restoration. There is much debate about the authenticity of O'Kelly's roof box. After repeatedly hearing a local tale about how the sunrise would light the triple spiral stone at the end of the passage far within the tomb, O'Kelly wondered if the roof box was intended to guide the light of the rising sun. During excavations in 1967, O'Kelly discovered that indeed the builders of Newgrange had deliberately orientated the passage so that each year around the winter solstice, the rays of the rising sun would shine through the roof box along a special passageway to illuminate the inner chamber. As the excavations progressed, they began to repair and restore the mound. O'Kelly had examined the way the cairn slipped, and after a series of experiments, he decided to restore the mound with a vertical wall. He perceived that the quartz granite layer had belonged to the cladding on a collapsed wall that had stood on the curbstones. There are, however, several factors which argue against the existence of such a wall. For instance, it is very unlikely that the wall would collapse at the same time along all of its length. And even if this had happened, the layer of quartz and granite would not be so thick along the curbstones. It has been said that it's impossible for a vertical wall to have stood for long in the Neolithic era without reinforcements of concrete and steel. This has been and will remain a controversial subject of Newgrange. Recent research has suggested that the mound should have been restored to a shape similar to Queen Maeve's cairn in Knocknarea in County Sligo. Excavations of the monument uncovered numerous finds from the area, including almost 1,000 flint artifacts, 274 pottery shards, stone, bone, glass, and metal, such as Roman jewelry and coins. However, none of these objects can be attributed to the builders of the mound. Within the tomb, there were some items that had escaped the attention of early generations of treasure hunters. A large hammer-shaped pendant was found in the main chamber. Nearby were some serpentine marble and flint flakes. In the west chamber, they found a pendant and pieces of bone tools mixed with burnt human bone remains. In the east chamber, they found a bone chisel, some marbles and beads, and a pendant. Human remains that were found represented at least 5 different persons. Although there may have been more, 3 of these individuals were cremated and 2 were unburned. Professor O'Kelly had calculated that the 200,000 tons of earth and rock would have taken a workforce of 400 people 16 years to carry it all to the spot and construct the mound. Around 2000 BC, a timber circle was built to the southeast of the mound, and a smaller timber circle to the west of the mound. The eastern timber circle is about the same size as the main mound. It consisted of 5 consecutive rows of pits. The outer row contained wooden posts. The next row of pits had clay linings and was used to burn animal remains. The 3 inner rows of pits were dug, and in them were found animal remains. Within the circle there were post and stake holes associated with beaker pottery and flint flakes. The western circle is about 20 meters in diameter and consisted of 2 consecutive rows of parallel post holes and pits. It was clear to archaeologists and others that Newgrange wasn't just built as a house of the dead, but was also seen as a home for the spirits and residence to other dimensional beings. Respect even came from the invading Vikings in the 9th century AD, who never entered the tomb, and to those visitors who left gold coins as tribute. The completed site was opened to the public in 1975 and is now one of the largest tourist attractions in Ireland. In the summer of 2018, Ireland had suffered a period of drought. Initial discoveries of subsurface archaeological remains were reported by drone pilots Anthony Murphy and Ken Williams in July 2018. The National Monument Service of the Department of Culture carried out a program aerial reconnaissance to survey and record the archaeological features in July and August of 2018. In a time of drought, it's easier to identify crop marks. Crop mark is the term used by archaeologists to refer to patterns in the surface of a growing crop, where the differential growth allows the shapes and form of banks, ditches, and walls to be identified. Crop marks can occur in any stage in the growth of the crops, but they are particularly noticeable at times of low moisture ground coinciding with a particular stage of crop development. For example, a ditch dug centuries or millennia ago was abandoned. The ditch silts up and is gradually filled over time, perhaps leveled by agricultural plowing. Long-rooted crops, such as wheat and barley, can reach downward to the moisture-retentive ditch fill. As a result, when the crops is slowed down by the absence of moisture, the crops directly over the ditches grow taller and take longer to ripe. Such crop marks are known as positive crop marks, as they grow bigger and longer. There are also negative crop marks, where the crops grow shorter. These occur above stone-built walls or ancient banks. The field that stimulated global media interest during the summer of 2018 is called the Cropmark Field. It's situated south of the Newgrange farm and to the southwest of the Newgrange Mound. At the time of aerial survey, the field had a standing crop of wheat. It highlighted the presence of subsurface archaeological remains. The The crop marks indicate evidence of henges, mortuary enclosures, and palisade enclosures. Monuments we would date to the late Neolithic period, also known as the Old Stone Age. Most of these monuments, if not all, were made of timber, making them contemporary. We will discuss a few of them in more detail. The four-poster enclosure is named after the four large post holes at the center. It's defined by two rings between 5 and 6 meters apart. The inner ring is circular and about 22 meters in diameter. The outer ring is elliptical in shape and between 28 meters southeast and 32 meters northwest in diameter. The geometric henge was identified by the drone pilots Anthony Murphy and Ken Williams in July of 2018. The geometric henge comprises a series of subcircular enclosing elements with overall dimensions of 154 meters north-south and 143 meters east-west. The henge enclosure consists of 3 elements: an outer ring of post holes, a middle ring of post holes, and an inner enclosure defined by double segmented ditches. All 3 elements are concentric and are most likely the product of a single architectural concept. A rectangular structure can be clearly seen on the west of the henge. It measures 22 by 16 meters. To the west and the east of the geometric henge are 2 other henges. The henge to the west is called the univalent henge and is 128 meters in diameter. The henge to the east is called Site P, kind of an anticlimactic name if you ask me, and is 152 meters in diameter. These henges are each separated by a distance of 100 meters. Henge monuments often occur in pairs or groups and are located in areas where other Neolithic monuments are concentrated. The recently discovered henges at Brunabóin demonstrate what must have been a conscious design of ceremonial enclosures. As you've probably seen on the picture taken during the aerial survey, there are many more discoveries made during that time. Unfortunately, I can't dive deeper into them in this video, but if you are interested in the newly discovered henges and monuments, please let me know in the comments down below so that in the future I can make another video about them. The Newgrange complex in the last 60 years has been greatly appreciated by archaeologists, but since the aerial survey that appreciation has only grown, as it transformed our understanding of the area completely. The newly identified sites show the importance of taking snapshots in time, not only on this site but also similar landscapes throughout the world. As Dr. Gabriel Cooney wrote in 1997, ultimately, we should remember that just as the society that built the passage tombs was not static but changing, so too our views of that past are changing because of new information and interpretation. In a few years' time, it may be necessary to update the outsider's view of the Neolithic world. Well guys, that was all I have for you today. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like these, then don't forget to subscribe. If you want to know the moment that we upload, then click the bell icon for notifications. And I'll see you in the next video. For now, bye guys!